Politics and government. Politics. India is the world's most populous democracy. A parliamentary republic with a multi-party system, it has 7 recognized national parties, including the Indian National Congress and the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, and more than 40 regional parties. The Congress is considered center-left in Indian political culture, and the BJP right-wing. For most of the period between 1950, when India first became a republic, and the late 1980s, the Congress held the majority in the parliament. Since then, however, it has increasingly shared the political stage with the BJP, as well as with powerful regional parties which have often forced the creation of multi-party coalition governments at the centre. In the Republic of India's first 3 general elections, in 1951, 1957, and 1962, the Jawaharlal Nehru-led Congress won easy victories. On Nehru's death in 1964, Lal Bahadur Shastri briefly became Prime Minister. He was succeeded, after his own unexpected death in 1966, by Indira Gandhi, who went on to lead the Congress to election victories in 1967 and 1971. Following public discontent with the state of emergency she declared in 1975, the Congress was voted out of power in 1977. The then new Janata Party, which had opposed the emergency, was voted in. Its government lasted just over 2 years. Voted back into power in 1980, the Congress saw a change in leadership in 1984, when Indira Gandhi was assassinated. She was succeeded by her son Rajiv Gandhi, who won an easy victory in the general elections later that year. The Congress was voted out again in 1989 when a National Front coalition, led by the newly formed Janata Dal in alliance with the Left Front, won the elections. That government too proved relatively short-lived, lasting just under 2 years. Elections were held again in 1991, no party won an absolute majority. The Congress, as the largest single party, was able to form a minority government led by P.V. Narasimha Rao. A 2-year period of political turmoil followed the general election of 1996. Several short-lived alliances shared power at the center. The BJP formed a government briefly in 1996. It was followed by 2 comparatively long-lasting United Front coalitions, which depended on external support. In 1998, the BJP was able to form a successful coalition, the National Democratic Alliance, NDA. Led by Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the NDA became the first non-Congress, coalition government to complete a 5-year term. In the 2004 Indian general elections, again no party won an absolute majority, but the Congress emerged as the largest single party, forming another successful coalition, the United Progressive Alliance, UPA. It had the support of left-leaning parties and MPs who opposed the BJP. The UPA returned to power in the 2009 general election with increased numbers, and it no longer required external support from India's communist parties. That year, Manmohan Singh became the first Prime Minister since Jawaharlal Nehru in 1957 and 1962 to be re-elected to a consecutive 5-year term. In the 2014 general election, the BJP became the first political party since 1984 to win a majority and govern without the support of other parties. The incumbent Indian Prime Minister is Narendra Modi, a former Chief Minister of Gujarat. On July 20, 2017, Ram Nath Kovind was elected India's 14th president and took the oath of office on July 25, 2017. Government. India is a federation with a parliamentary system governed under the Constitution of India, which serves as the country's supreme legal document. It is a constitutional republic and representative democracy, in which majority rule is tempered by minority rights protected by law. Federalism in India defines the power distribution between the union, or central, government and the states. The government abides by constitutional checks and balances. The Constitution of India, which came into effect on January 26, 1950, states in its preamble that India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. India's form of government, traditionally described as quasi-federal with a strong center and weak states, has grown increasingly federal since the late 1990s as a result of political, economic, and social changes. The Government of India comprises 3 branches. Executive. The President of India is the ceremonial head of state, who is elected indirectly for a 5-year term by an electoral college comprising members of national and state legislatures. The Prime Minister of India is the head of government and exercises most executive power. Appointed by the President, the Prime Minister is by convention supported by the party or political alliance having a majority of seats in the lower house of Parliament. The executive of the Indian government consists of the President, the Vice President, and the Union Council of Ministers, with the Cabinet being its executive committee, headed by the Prime Minister. Any minister holding a portfolio must be a member of one of the Houses of Parliament. In the Indian parliamentary system, the executive is subordinate to the legislature. The Prime Minister and his or her council are directly responsible to the lower house of the Parliament. The civil servants act as permanent executives and all decisions of the executive are implemented by them. Legislature. The legislature of India is the bicameral parliament. Operating under a Westminster-style parliamentary system, it comprises an upper house called the Rajya Sabha, Council of States, and a lower house called the Lok Sabha, House of the People. The Rajya Sabha is a permanent body that has 245 members serving staggered 6-year terms. Most are elected indirectly by the state and union territorial legislatures in numbers proportional to their state's share of the national population. All but 2 of the Lok Sabha's 545 members are directly elected by popular vote. They represent individual constituencies for 5-year terms. The remaining 2 members are nominated by the President from among the Anglo-Indian community, in case the President decides that they are not adequately represented. Judiciary. India has a 3-tier unitary independent judiciary comprising the Supreme Court, headed by the Chief Justice of India, 24 high courts, and a large number of trial courts. The Supreme Court has original jurisdiction over cases involving fundamental rights and over disputes between states and the centre. It has appellate jurisdiction over the high courts. It has the power to both strike down union or state laws which contravene the Constitution, and invalidate any government action it deems unconstitutional. Subdivisions. India is a federal union comprising 29 states and 7 union territories. All states, as well in addition to the union territories of Puducherry and the National Capital Territory of Delhi, have elected legislatures and governments following on the Westminster system of governance. The remaining 5 union territories are directly ruled by the centre through appointed administrators. In 1956, under the States Reorganisation Act, states were reorganized on a linguistic basis. Since then, their structure has remained largely unchanged. Each state or union territory is further divided into administrative districts. The districts are further divided into tehsils and ultimately into villages.